you have been part of an Indian delegation here for many years. This year, big delegations from India, big delegations from China. What's it all about?
Well, it's natural for India and China to have big delegations. Where India is concerned, India is just not today merely an exporter. India is a big importer. India is a huge market for the Western economies. India is not only looking for foreign investment. India is a big investor overseas. We have huge investments in all parts of the world today. So when we have this huge delegation, our business community here is just not looking to sell. They're looking to invest. They're looking for investments. They're looking to buy.
But if we go back to India's first splash here, which was really about 2006, about 5 years ago, the first Incredible India moment at Davos, what's different about 5 years later from back then?
I think there's a huge difference because 6 years ago when in Davos they were talking about the sustainability of emerging markets. Yesterday I did a program which was talking about emerging economies. From emerging markets have become emerging economies, and emerging economies driving the global economy. So the engines, you have new engines of the global economy. India and China are one of the engines driving the global economy. So that's the big difference. It's not only that the world's perception about India has changed. India's own perception about itself has changed. And that's the big difference.
And if you wrote a book a year or two ago called The Indian Century, but is this actually now really and truly the Asian century? Is that what's happening to the world economy, or is that a stretch?
Well, of course it is. We are seeing that the epicenter of economic activity is moving from the Atlantic Ocean to the Red China Seas and the Indian Ocean. And that is the big change which is taking place. The global economic architecture is seeing a huge change with not only new doors and windows, but really new entrances.
Now look, you've been minister in various ministries over the years. I want to just go back. You were the trade minister who put India on the map years ago on the World Trade Talks. Not everybody liked you, but you got India's way often on textiles and agriculture. You were controversial but effective. That was the judgment. Then you were Minister of Transport and Road Development most recently. Before we get to your new portfolio, I want to challenge you. You said you were going to build 20 kilometers of roads a day. You made lots of promises when you took office. Rate yourself. Give us your own scorecard.
Well, last week when I quit my previous job to take on this new challenging assignment, we were doing 12.5 kilometers per day. We had put in close to 20,000 kilometers of work in progress. And that was a huge quantum jump which happened. And I think the momentum which has been created heads us towards 20 kilometers a day because the deficit is so large. And when I said that target, because of the huge deficit we have. Because in India, growth has preceded infrastructure. And infrastructure, not only in roads, but in urbanization, in urban infrastructure, in power, in ports, in airports. That's our huge challenge.
Why has China got it right and India still has a long road to travel?
Well, China started 16 years before us, and China has done a great job in its urban infrastructure. We concentrated in our rural infrastructure. If we take our road program connecting villages in India over the last 10 years, it's one of the largest programs ever undertaken. So the model of China is different to India's. So China was started with the urban centers and built a huge urban and a great urban infrastructure. So we want to have the same kind of infrastructure which China has.
Got it. Let's move to your new portfolio. You're now Minister of Urban Development. What are your goals there?
Well, this is one of our biggest challenges because 60% of our GDP is from urban habitats. By the end of the decade, we will have 550 million people living in urban centers. 550 million people.
In just 10 or 15 cities?
Well,
20 cities.
We will have about 70 cities with more than 1 million. We'll have about 6 mega cities, 10 million plus. And the real face of India will be urban India, the urban centers.
Okay.
So it's hugely important that all our cities today have exceeded their carrying capacity. their carrying capacity in terms of everything, sewage, water, transport, parking. And we got to be looking very holistically in this. Urban transportation, our metro, and having underground transportation is not just a question of moving people. We want to move people, not move vehicles. Now, you got to really conceptualize and create a new vision for urban India.
Okay. Last point, you have been on record saying that you're going to make sure that Delhi has the biggest underground system in the world, bigger than London. Let's go from the rhetoric to the meaning. What does that mean?
Well, it means that we will have about 417 kilometers of underground in Delhi by 2017. That is what we need. That is what we are setting ourselves to do. And the London Underground has about 414 kilometers.
What, you'll be 3 kilometers bigger than London?
Well, 3 kilometers in 2017, and God knows how many more kilometers in 2020.
We almost have goals to succeed in life. Kamal, Nath, thanks for joining us. Good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.